His name used to send chills down the spine of criminals and mafia. He is among the few officers when he took as the Director General of Police UP, hundreds of criminals and mafia applied for surrender of bail and went to jail. He also managed not only the largest police force in the country, but also managed disasters, combated terrorism. He also managed VIP security, intelligence, and a number of other things. He is none other than Mr. O.P. Singh. He has penned his memoirs in a book called Crime, Grime and Gumption. And we are going to talk to him about his memoirs and the events surrounding those events, those memoirs. So very warm welcome to Indian Masterminds, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Sharji.
So tell me first the name of your book. What is grime and what is gumption in the book? Grime everyone understands, but where is the grime?
That's a very interesting question. In fact, when I started penning down my memoir immediately after the lockdown, and I had ample time because I had just retired, and I was writing, I was trying to collect everything, and I was trying to recollect my memoirs and memories. So in the middle of the process, then I thought that what should be the appropriate title for this book, for this memoir? And I tried with this idea and discussed with so many people, consulted so many ideas and people. And ultimately I said that I'm a basically police officer. So it has to relate to something called crime. So the crime has to be there in order to catch the attention of the people. But at the same time, I wanted to add on with some other adjectives also. So I came upon this idea and put the title as Crime, Grime and Gumption. Crime in a very normal sense, it refers to the criminal activities of the people.
Right.
But grime is something which talks about your, the state of affairs, the kind of stains that is associated with the crime, the darker side of it, the ugliest part of it, and as a police officer, you not only deal with better part of it, but you also deal with the crimes, criminals, their dirtier part and everything. So that gets associated as grime. And gumption is something that refers to your resilience, your capability, your what you call bahaduri in the true sense of the term. So then I combined all three and I said that crime has to be in the context of grime and has to be fought with gumption. So that is how the title came.
But to a layman, gumption might mean gumption is fine, but grime means one may think that is it related to politics? Because in common parlance, politics is somehow the muddle and grime.
To extent, you are right. Very, very much you are right that grime refers to that part of political life also. But crime has itself very bad connotations because it gets associated with criminals, their activities, and so many. Crime definitely has a lot of connotations, has a lot of manifestations, and certainly crime and politics during my time had always been associated with each other. So you may interpret it that way also, but my idea was how it is esteemed as a criminal activity.
Yeah. So besides, when we'll come to the crime, how do you fought crime and terrorism later, but first tell us something about your background, how you got interested into civil services, you got into civil services.
I come from Bihar. And my father was a bar at law. He was a barrister. He was practicing as a lawyer, as a government servant from the prosecution side. And I was studying there. I did my schooling from Gaya Zilla School, from a very ordinary school. Then I lost my father at a very early age of 14 and 15 years old. And he was my role model. He was my mentor. In a way, whatever little virtue I learned it from my father, and he was a great influence in my life. Very honest, very upright, very intelligent, and very erudite person. And he was stickler for discipline which I have mentioned in my book also. No extravaganza. He didn't believe in ostentatious living, and very fond of books. And perhaps that is the reason why I also got interested in reading the books. And so is my daughter right now. My daughter is a lawyer, and she's also very fond of reading books. After that, I got admitted in St. Xavier's. I did my intermediate,
Karachi.
Ranchi, and that was the time when I decided that I must switch over from science to humanities, because that was the time when I decided to go for civil services. I thought that no, I must go, and the common parlance, anybody can say that you want to serve the country, you want to serve the society. You can serve the country, society in any capacity. You need not be a civil servant to serve the society.
Right.
Even you, as a journalist, you're serving in a great way. A doctor, engineer, even a class 4 employee is serving the society in a big way and very productive way, engaging way. So that is not the idea. But the idea was that how can I productively contribute? Besides being a human being, you have some kind of responsibility, and then you serve the society. So that was the time when I decided that I must switch over to humanities. I was very keen to come to Delhi University, but because of the JP movement,
Yeah.
the session got delayed, the academic session. I had to suffer for about 2-3 months, and I was late. But look at the brevity that I had. I met the Vice Chancellor, and I said, I argued my case in Delhi University that, look, sir, I'm not at fault. If my academic session got disturbed, not because of me, but because of the movement, why should I suffer? And he was really very soft to me, and he said, yeah, I do understand, but I'm so sorry that everything is over now.
Rules are
rules. Rules are rules. So I came back to Allahabad. At that time it was called Allahabad. Now it is Prayagraj. And Allahabad University at that time was treated as Oxford of the East.
I'm also an alumni.
You are an alumni of that university. So I took my admission in graduation, did my BA from Allahabad University, and then I applied for both, for Delhi University as well as for JNU, and I got selected in both the universities. And this is how I came to Delhi University. I did my post-graduation in political science. In the first year, I topped the university, and then immediately after my post-graduation, I got an opportunity to work as a lecturer. So I was teaching in Deshbandhu College for about 1.5 years, and then I got into the police. And this is how the whole journey is like this.
So, but going through your book, one is impressed by the style of writing, storytelling, language. So, where did a policeman pick up these nuances? Is it during your studies that you carry it out throughout your career, or during your teaching, or during your profession?
Look, there was so much, there was a combination of factors. As I said in the beginning, that my father was a great influencer. And my father was a very literary figure. He used to read a lot. He used to read all kinds of literature, Sanskrit. He was a very good, very knowledgeable person over Sanskrit. He had a command over the language. And apart from that, I had, the moment I shifted to humanities, I got more interested in developing my skills that I had. Then during the preparations also, and I had good company of friends and mentors and teachers, professors. I've been writing a little bit because I used to write middles in newspapers. I remember my middles used to appear in Pioneer. When I was SP Lakhimpur Kheri, I wrote few of them. And then I was contributing in one of the magazines. I was writing very majorly for police magazines. So this is how I developed the knack. And then before this also I wrote a book on Nepal earthquake, which was published in Hindi, but that was on Nepal earthquake. So this is how I developed that.
And after your training, you joined UP cadre, which you describe often as baptism by fire. So why was it baptism by fire?
UP, if you look at the entire state, and I've been telling it even when I was DGP of the state, I often used to compare UP with nothing. UP cannot be compared at all with any Indian state. It's a huge state with 23 or 24 crores of people as its population. You have all kinds of problems, all kinds of challenges that you can face. If you have served in UP as a police officer, you can serve anywhere. Be it communal, be it social, political, or educational, labor, all kinds of problems are there. And the fact that I was posted from one end to another, I started my service at Varanasi. Before that, I was ASP under training at Muradabad. But full-fledged ASP, I was at Varanasi. So that was eastern part of UP. And then I got shifted to Aligarh. And then from Aligarh, I came to Allahabad. From Allahabad, I went to Almora. So I had a very diverse experience and, the exposure to work in every capacity as a police officer. And there I saw the kind of problems that UP presented. And that is why I said that it's a baptism for...
by fire.
Yeah.
In fact, one will expect a decorated police officer to write about heroics. And you mention a simple theft in a farmhouse in Almora. And the way you have written it makes it so captivating. And the end is the climax. So
True.
what was the theft? A very simple theft.
It was a very, very simple theft. Nothing to do with any heinous or very sensational crime. And in fact, it happened before I joined as...
But again,
SP.
it hit the national headlines.
It hit the national headline because the person who was the victim was none other than Mr. Arun Singh, who was a part of the Rajiv Gandhi's cabinet. But why I tried to, and why I wrote this particular chapter was for 2-3 reasons. One is that I wanted to give emphasis that as a police officer, you are as much concerned about a simple theft as you're concerned about terrorist activities. I mean, for you, everything is a crime, and crime has to be seen in that perspective. This is number one. Number two, that, we are talking of early 90s. In fact, when I was SP Almora, it was 1990.
Right.
And I had been transferred from SP City Allahabad to SP Almora. That was my first charge. And as SP City Allahabad, that was a Herculean task. I used to be awake all the time, It was a very demanding job. And in Almora, I had less and less of work. The crime was almost negligible and everything was there. I wanted to use and apply the forensic science techniques there.
Right. Means nowadays we can see so much technological advances that investigation is easy. But the way you have handled the theft, but what was the reason? Why did it hit the national headlines? I think Mr. Arun Singh was Minister of State for Defense and he had just resigned.
He had resigned.
Because of the Bofors.
Right. He had resigned. He was no longer a minister at that time when I was serving there. But for major portion of his life, he was staying in a place called Binsar.
Right.
He had a cottage there and he used to stay there. For a few months, he used to go back to Delhi and then used to come because it's a beautiful place. Binsar was part of Almora, and it was a lovely, picturesque place. And that happened in his absence. When he was away to Delhi, this particular theft took place. And that theft was about 4 or 5 months older than when I came. And then we started investigating the whole thing. And I was so excited to investigate it because I was keen to unearth it. I was keen to, try to bust who could be the person. And because it involved Mr. Arun Singh, it became a national headline. And a lot of people, a lot of theories. In fact, the magazine called India Today, they carried out that it could be because Bofors papers were there and the culprit would be looking for some kind of papers, But ultimately, it wasn't so. So that was the reason why it hit the headlines. And I have written in the last sentence that how Mr. Arun Singh appreciated the whole effort.
Exactly, that's the climax.
That's the climax.
How he gave you a handwritten...
He came to my house, congratulated me, thanked me profusely, and then he wrote a letter. In fact, the letter came much before then he came. And the letter is still, I am preserving that letter. And he wrote exactly, I have copied the verbatim, whatever he said, I have reproduced in my book.
Another thing I like to ask you, from Almora, you went to Lakhimpur. And Lakhimpur was at that time at the peak of terrorism. Sikh terrorism was at its peak. And if you remember, I met you during your stint in Lakhimpur, and one thing I had noticed, and I asked you the reason for that, was that you always used to uh, have your beacon atop your car switched on. But that made you a sitting duck, because terrorists would spot you from, say, 2 kilometers distance, and those days they used to spray bullets from automatic weapons. They could ambush you anytime. So why you always carried that beacon on?
Let me begin by some interesting anecdotes. When I came back to Lucknow, in fact, from Almora, I went to SPG. I went to Special Protection Group in the Prime Minister's security.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got repatriated and I came back to Delhi. I came back to Lucknow. The DGP at that time was very, he was very objective in giving charges to officers. Since I was a very young officer, had come from SPG, he wanted me to go to any of the Tarai districts. So when I called on him for the first time, he said that either I'll post you to Pilibhit or to Lakhimpur Kheri, because these two districts were badly affected, very, very badly affected by the terrorist activities, Sikh militancy. So I said, sir, wherever you want to post me, I'm prepared to go there. So ultimately, he posted me as SP Lakhimpur Kheri. I went there. When I joined as SP, the very next day, I tried to visit so many other areas, rural police stations from the district headquarters. When I was traveling, I still remember it was 4 or 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening. When I started from the district headquarters, my ambassador car had the light, as you rightly said, but the driver did not switch it on. So after a few kilometers, I just noticed that there was no blue light being seen outside. So I asked him, why are you not putting on the light? The blue beacon, why is it not in use? He said that, sir, we don't use it because then you'd be safely a soft target and you can be spread bullet, you can be targeted by the terrorist, by the terrorist. And mind it, you know it very well, the topography and demographic profile of Lakhimpur Kheri. The sugarcane fields used to have high rise.
Yeah, they were very safe hideouts.
Safe hideouts for the terrorists, for the Sikh militants. And it used to be predominantly a rural district.
Right.
And you had the highways, you had the state ways, you had the roads, even you had the kacha roads and all that. And wherever you go, you had the fields on left and right, both ways. So you can be targeted anytime. And that was the reason why my driver and the gunner used to tell that, please don't use it, because you will be, your car can be spotted from a distance. I said, no, you have the other way also to look at it. No, you are giving and transferring a positive vibe, a sense of confidence to the people. Even if you, as SP, you could be a duck, you could be a soft target, but the fact that you are, everybody would think that my SP is on the move. So that would give a sense of confidence to the citizens, to the people of the district. And I think that's much more important than being targeted by the terrorists. So I said, we have to put it on and we have to do it.
You put your life in risk.
Put my life in danger, yes. And I used to travel a lot in Lakhimpur Kheri. Yeah. I used to be away from the headquarters for 10 days, 12 days. I must have combed and done the combing operations in Dudhwa National Park many a times for many days.
And that is where you got tip-off, and then you, acting on that tip-off, you encountered 4 militants.
I encountered at the first instance, barely 7 or 8 days of my coming to a district, I had an encounter with the Sikh militants, and 4 dreaded terrorists were shot dead. And one of them was carrying a reward of 40,000 rupees by Punjab police,
right,
which was a rarity at the time. This was 1992. At that time, 40,000 used to be a big sum.
Big sum. And then a lot of automatic weapons were recovered from them.
Yes, we had 7 weapons. For the first time, UP police had a massive success in not only liquidating 4 dreaded criminals, but also seizing 7 automatic weapons, AK-47 and others. And in fact, I had the credit of seizing general purpose machine gun for the first time and then for the second time. 2 times we recovered general purpose machine gun from the terrorists, and this was perhaps the only example in UP.
Right. Very courageous. And then were you not afraid? Because आप उससे 2 साल पहले वो आर डी त्रिपाठी साहब का हुआ था, पीलीभीत एसएसपी. ही हैड एनकाउंटर्ड 10 मिलिटेंट्स एंड देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ नेशनल मीडिया कवरेज कि साहब ये फेक एनकाउंटर है. कभी आपको नहीं लगा कि साहब आपको भी कहा जा सकता है कि ये फेक एनकाउंटर है?
शरद जी, मैंने इस बात का हमेशा ख्याल रखा कि आई हैव टू ऑब्जर्व द ह्यूमन राइट्स वैल्यूज, एंड आई वाज वेरी पर्टिकुलर अबाउट इट. एंड आई कैन टेल यू दैट आई वाज मुझको सरोपा प्रस्तुत किया गया गुरुद्वारे में. लखीमपुर खीरी के गुरुद्वारे ने मुझको सम्मानित किया सिंपली बिकॉज कि मैंने एक सिख को पंजाब से मंगवाया, उसको पुलिस वहां से उठा कर लेके गई थी, और मैं आई फॉट विद द हायर अप्स देयर एंड आई सेड कि नो, इट वाज अ रॉन्ग थिंग ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ पंजाब पुलिस एंड आई मस्ट गेट हिम बैक. दैट वाज द काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन कि हमने इस बात का ख्याल रखा कि कोई भी फर्जी इनकाउंटर नहीं हो, और इस बात का भी ख्याल रखा कि मैंने किसी को गलत टाडा केसेस में नहीं फंसाया. But that was the, I wanted to win the hearts and minds of the people in true sense of the term. And that was the reason why I was so successful in Lakhimpur Kheri in liquidating the Sikh militancy and the terrorism जो है एकदम खत्म हो गया उसके बाद. 93 के बाद, 94 के बाद कभी भी टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटी वहाँ हुई ही नहीं.
I do remember before that there were number of incidents, 74 people dying in Ramlila Maidan in Rudrapur in a bomb blast, then 29 people you have mentioned in your book
In Pilibhit.
in Pilibhit. They were killed by terrorists. They had gone to get those kataruas, those mushrooms. So, but you're right. After 1992, and especially after you held the district, terrorism was on the wane, and by 93, 94, it was almost over.
Right.
So, sir, we'll continue this conversation after a break. And we'll talk about your stints in Lucknow. I think you are among the rare officers who have been SSP of a district 3 times.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll talk about that and how you those were tumultuous years, and what you have written is the tsunami years. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing these anecdotes with us. We'll come back to you later.